So any of you guys out there that drive Yamahas know that these are a pain in the butt. They leak water, it ruins the locking mechanism, gets rust all over your whatever you got in the bag, and after a while your springs break down and the latch no longer closes. There's a fairly easy fix to this. As you know, these are pretty expensive if you buy them from Yamaha, but I'm going to show you how to fix it for the price of an ink pen. What I'm going to do is take these two bolts off, remove this, and then I will show you how to repair it once I get it inside. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is push this down just enough to where you can catch this little lip and push it in and up. Pull your button out, pull your pin out, and then here's the bigger spring. This one looks like it's in pretty good condition. And this little bad boy right here, that's the tricky part. Let's see if I can get this out. Now that you got this little piece out, there should be nothing holding it in place. Stick your screwdriver in there, pop it out. And here's our culprit for the bad mechanism. After all the water, my spring is reduced to this little grisly piece of mess. What you're going to want to do is get a paper towel and a brush. Make sure you get all that rust water out of there. Clean this piece up real well. You can see where the rust is on there from the springs. Clean that mechanism up. That way when this goes down in there, it's not exposed to that nasty funk water. Alright, your next step will be finding a pen to sacrifice. You buy one. This one, I don't know where we got it. Somewhere along the line, someone picked up a pen from the local Baptist church. And you just pull this little tip out. And voila. Replacement spring for your locking mechanism. You might have to trim it down a little bit so that it fits within here and behind this piece. The last one I fixed was a little too long. I just took my wire pliers and I cut it down just a little bit and it works perfectly. I would also recommend maybe spray painting or clear coating your spring. It won't affect its functionality, but it will protect it a little bit more from the rust, so you don't have to do this again for a while. The other one I put in there about a year ago, still holding up pretty good. So your next step is to get your spring in here, put this piece back in, line this piece back up, and pop this back in so that that lines up in there. And once you get it together, make sure you have it all oriented correctly and reinstall it onto the bike. Give it some testing. Alright, so I did have to trim up the spring a little bit. You'll notice the coils on this end are pretty tight. Just on the other end, I cut off just that coil head and it was just enough. Get that down in there and just lay it in there. That little wedge piece right there will go on top of it. Slide it until you hear the click, and voila, functioning mechanism again. Once you get all your springs lined up again, and you get this piece back in, make sure that little lip is caught. That way you don't launch this across the room if your spring has that much tension in it still. When it works properly, you'll be able to push down on it and it goes in, and then when you release it, it should come out all the way. Reinstalling it is pretty easy. Alright, so the final step here, make sure you have your spacer still, your top cover piece, and your newly repaired latching mechanism. We will reinstall them in here. We'll give it a test and we'll see how it looks. Alright, when you're reinstalling this, put the latch through the hole first. That way your cover hides the screws so no one can get into your locked box. Then as far as the spacer goes, what you want to do is put it down toward the end and then slide it forward and down, because it is not wide enough to go over the base of the latch. So you got to start at the top, go in, and then down. Alright, as we can see, the new latch is in place, so let's give it a test. There's that click we want. It doesn't pop up. It is new. Much cheaper than paying for the new latch mechanism. Not only that, but for those of you that like to keep as few keys on your motorcycle keyring as possible so they don't flop around and damage things, scratch things up, if you were to buy a new one of these, they won't key match it to your ignition key, so you have extra keys laying around for your latches and for your motorcycle. So by doing it this way, you still keep one key and you save quite a bit of money, because all you saw was I busted open one pin and problem solved in less than 10 minutes.